Massaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Casimir finds Masaba.
Now Bannon with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
Normality has well and truly resumed at Sheffield 6. Wages were late back in March. We're now in May, and it's been reported once again that wages are late, and we find ourselves on the cusp of a 3-window transfer embargo by the EFL. This also comes after Mr. Dejphon Chansiri has rejected 2 bids from a consortium to purchase the club in recent weeks as well. The bloke is a total narcissist. I've no idea what his plan is, no idea what he's trying to do. All he is doing is running the football club into the ground. There's uncertainty on players, the manager, coaching staff, and all whilst once again we pay some of the highest ticket prices in the Football League. And it's just not good enough. We as fans once again are suffering. Hello and welcome to Wednesday Till I Die podcast. I'm James Mappin. Once again, I'm joined by Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt, another week, another out of schedule podcast. Once again, we're talking about things that as fans we shouldn't really be talking about, which is wages. Like, it's an absolute shambles, isn't it, Matt?
Absolutely, James. Mortgages, rents, childcare, nursery fees, food shops, items of clothing, travel costs, all of these things that it takes to run somebody's life in the modern world. Our chairman is failing to meet the basic needs of his employees, which is be paid for the work that you have done or are doing. It's disgusting, it's abhorrent, and I am absolutely appalled that we are sat here yet again having this discussion because a person's individual pride won't let them give up on a passion project that they are appalling at doing.
Like I said, I've said it many, many times. I really just don't get it. I don't get what he's trying to achieve, why he's clinging on to some sort of hope that he's going to perhaps, I don't know, turn it around, or I've no idea. I mean, again, just a reminder, we are on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Twitter Spaces as well. So if you do want to come up and speak, do get over to Twitter Spaces. You know how it all works. Bottom left, request to speak. I can see I've got Big Artist Show, I've got Gavin, I've got G, that all want to speak. So I'll come to you guys in a second. I'll try and bring you up. Again, get all your comments in. I see there's loads of comments already. Rob said is enough. Gally's World Wide Web says proper worried now. Gary, is it Sunday already? No, it's not. Wednesday, Sunday, Friday. We'll be back on Sunday as well, of course. We even got a baggy in here as well. He's not one of your mates, is he, Matt?
No, he's not, but I am pleased to see the Midlands coming in to support.
Rob says, DC, or you're not welcome here anymore. Time to go. Richard just says, off to League One we go. Alex, he declines good bids, then can't pay the wages. What a clown. Steve's in. He says, evening, James and Matt. Is there any chance of getting Simon on for any update? I believe that is pretty tricky at the moment, given just everything that's been going off at the moment. I don't think there's much that he can say, to be honest. Dinner says Chansiri out. Matt, hello lads. I feel so sorry for the regular employees at the club. Gutted for them. Yeah, I'm just going to get on to that actually. Kind of what we know as of Friday evening as we sat here. So a little just over 3:15 this afternoon. Rob Staten from BBC Radio Sheffield tweeted, and I quote, per sources, understand there has been another delay in payment of wages at Sheffield Wednesday this month. Follows a similar issue in March. Payment was eventually made in April. That's since been followed up by both Alex and Joe from the Sheffield Star. Joe said that at least some have not been paid at the time of writing, which was just before 6 o'clock this evening. It also went on to say that technically it is still payday for those owed money, and if they were paid tomorrow, then it would be classed as before the end of the month. It's understood that the club have 2 days after the original default to either pay up or report it to the league. I think that is working days as well. There's a lot of grey area when it comes to this. So it sounds like even though we are on the cusp, we do get 2 days to pay them. But if we don't, then yes, we are into that realms of a 3-window transfer embargo, which which means we won't be able to sign anyone in this transfer window, January, and in the summer of next year. So it'll take us up to January 2027, where we'll be able to pay a fee if the current situation stays as it is. Alex also followed this up to say, and this is just, as was just mentioned, by Matt, just the worst thing ever. I mean, the players not being paid is one thing, but when they're on the reported money that they're on, maybe it's a little bit easier. Still not ideal, but the non-football staff have been paid just £700 of their monthly salary, and apparently they've had assurances that this will be paid during the course of this Monday. Obviously sat here on Friday, so the weekend, and then Monday coming up. But yeah, Matt, his skin, he hasn't got the money, and it's staring us absolutely straight in the face that he has got serious cash flow issues. As when we were paying for the season tickets back in December, not just this December, I mean the one before and the one before that and the one before that, it was highlighted by many, many people that this is a cash flow issue. The fact that the window, it was so short in the time that you could pay for something, meant that he needed that money quickly. The fact that we had to pay cash at times, there's been so many signs, and I find it just kind of a little bit upsetting, really, that as fans we've let it get to this stage by just kind of, it's all right, everything's going to be fine. We've got Barry Bannon in midfield, so let's not worry about it. But the writing was on the wall long time ago that this was going to happen, and it's just hit us straight in the face.
It's absolutely disgusting. If it's the first time this is the second time me and you have sat here and had this conversation, James, in the space of 4 months. It's absolutely. I cannot express how angry I am that sadly I am attached to this football club with this particular issue. Just going back to Alex's statement that you've read there. Staff were paid just £700 of their monthly salary. If you have got rent due that automatically comes out of a bank account on, say, the 1st of the month or the 31st of a month or whenever, you might not be able to meet that. How do you go? How do you live? Like really seriously, how do these people exist? And how do you go to a bank and explain this? How do you contact your mortgage advisor or your landlord or whoever it may be and say, I'm really sorry, I've been given assurances that I am about to be paid. Didn't this happen like 2 months ago? Yeah. The knock-on effect of this on doing this too, as you said, I feel a huge degree of sympathy for the professional footballers who are paid well and compensated financially very well for the job that they do. They are in the top 0.03% of people on the planet who are successful enough to make it as a professional footballer. They deserve to be financially compensated for being so talented at something that millions and billions of people world over watch. They will be having these same issues as well. This is absolutely disgraceful. And when we were talking about this previously and the chairman came out and gave a statement saying, it's cash flow issues. The cash flow issue is this. It's very simple, as you said, James. He is skint. Absolutely out of money. How out of money do you have to be as a supposed millionaire to not be able to pay wages in two of the most down months of the season? Yes, you haven't got ticket revenue coming in terms of match day on the gate receipts, but our on the gate receipts aren't huge. They're not enough to cover a wage bill. You have run this club to the wall. And when we talk about, the footballing side of things and the embargoes and all the rest of it, that is appalling. Like, that really is appalling. And, that's a really horrible situation for as fans of a football club to be in, to know that that is a possibility that if this current ownership sticks around for the next 18 months, you aren't going to be able to pay a fee for players. We're also going to be the last of every free transfer who is available on the market to come, because we don't pay wages. So there's your first tick. If you knew somebody wasn't paying wages or wasn't great at paying wages, that's the last place that I'm going. Secondly, who are you going to work for? The manager doesn't want to be here. Thirdly, okay, the manager might still be under contract here, but the coaching staff aren't. They're all out. So who is going to actually coach me to be a better footballer? if you are being released, all of these talented youngsters that we've spoken about and going through like a Sunderland model and all the rest of it, that would be great. But if you're a kid at 20 years old and you've got an agent who's advising you to come to this football club, sack them now. Like immediately, sack them and get rid of them now, because you are putting yourself up, you are setting yourself up to fail.
Next season is just going to be an absolute shit show. Like, you know, as you just outlined there, all those things. You know, the manager, the coaches, the players. You know, I feel kind of embarrassed. Kind of, you know, the transfer window opens Sunday morning, I think it is.
Yeah,
I kind of feel embarrassed start talking about like what players are we going to sign when there's staff that have been paid £700. Like, you know, it's almost irrelevant. Like, you know, who like there's not many certainties in life or expectations in life, but one thing that you do expect, as you said at the top, is to be paid for the work that you've done, whatever that work may be. You expected, you go to work, you expect on payday that money is there, and like you said, for it to happen twice, you know, that when my understanding was that non-playing staff were paid last time on time, I do believe. Yep. It was just the players that didn't, and obviously they got paid a week or two later or whatever it was. But at that point there, as a member of staff, I would have wanted some sort of assurances from the chairman that this wasn't going to happen to you. Like, you know, you're all right. And obviously the next month comes, they get paid, and then lo and behold, as you mentioned, no ticket revenue coming through. The season's finished. And then now they've only got paid half that. You said it when we were just before we were recording. Like, you know, are you turning up for work on Monday? Like
no.
I know you kind of have to, but you know, nothing's going to get done. Like, nothing's going to happen. All the talk is going to be, have you got paid? Have you got when are we getting paid? Like, and that should never ever happen. The bloke, I just don't get it. What? We're so hand to mouth, it is absolutely unbelievable, and he's rinsed us dry. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that he can sell. Like, it's not. To be honest, I think one thing we should do really, it's getting to the point where Jeddy Gassama just needs to be put on the transfer list and just get him gone. Like, if we're that bad, if we can't get the money.
Sale. Yeah, I agree. You need a fire sale of any asset. Any asset.
Are we at that point? Like,
yeah,
are we at that point? Because we probably are. Like, you know, when we're looking at it, you know. But the other thing that I just don't get whatsoever, and I will come to the people that are waiting to speak. I do appreciate you. I'll come to you in a second. But the other thing is, he's had 2 bids for the football club as well. Like,
and that's it, James. Me and you were like every other fan. We found out about this on Monday. This second bid that's been coming from the information that we spoke about on Wednesday. That is in excess of the previous bid, which was already at market value from what we'd heard and understood. It is way in excess of that. We're now talking into a realm of that bid is so ridiculous for what this football club is. When you put it into the context of this situation, how, knowing this is coming down the line, how dare you have the arrogance to say, nah, do you know what? I'm going to turn that down. You are playing about with people's livelihoods. You are playing about with their lives. You are playing about with their physical and mental well-being on gambling that in 5 days you are going to be able to find and scrimp together enough money to be able to meet the demands of this. He's complaining about the fact that he can't meet the club has 9 million quid running out the door. Currently, we have no money running out the door because you can't meet your basic requirements as somebody who owns a business. The brass neck of somebody to sit at a fans forum in January and scream from the top of his lungs at people who were there asking him questions, going, do you run a business? No. Well, you should sell your house or just stop coming. What happens if, you know, because we've spoken about this before, James, there have been a lot of people on social media who have said, you know what, I've not renewed my season ticket this year. And judging by all of the sales and kind of like the whispers that you hear out of it, there is going to be a decline in season tickets. But obviously at the point that the first renewal came out, when most people renew, I would imagine there was a healthy number of people obviously took that up. What is the incentive to go to Hillsborough now? knowing what you are walking into next season, knowing what you are going to be put through by going to that game. I am going next year because I was stupid enough to renew my season ticket because I was at the fear of FOMO, of missing out and dropping down all of my priority points and all the rest of it. Now, I mean this really nicely, James, I'm glad in some way, shape or form that I've given that money, because it's meant that somebody's been paid. Like, it's meant that somewhere down the line, somebody's actually been able to be paid for the work that they've done, because that is the only funding that is coming into this football club. It is us. It's been screaming and staring us in the face for months and months and months. The wider issue I think that also needs talking about is, where is the money coming from? Where is this owner's money actually coming from? Because again, as you have said, and you pointed it out a number of times on here, you have got, if you're in this country, it's very easy to trace that money. This money cannot be coming from a bank, because they would have told you to sell it, because you can't meet those, you can't make the payments. It can't be from his family, because his family would have either been saying, right, we're going to give you a loan, but you've got to get out. Where is this coming from now? Because to me, that arrogance of being able to turn down a huge, if the quoted figures that are rumoured are right, this is a ridiculously substantial bid for a football club, way over the odds of what it's actually worth. How on earth can you have the brass neck to turn that down unless you've borrowed money from people you shouldn't have borrowed money from?
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, like people say construction is where his money's come from. But again, we're in 2025. You do a quick search on the internet, it throws up absolutely nothing. Now, nobody's come out and said exactly where it comes from. Thai Union Foods were emblazoned all over the backdrop when he first took over. They're nothing to do with Sheffield Wednesday. He's never once coming out and said where it is. He said it's not coming from his dad, because that he came out in the fans forum and said that. Yeah, where is the money coming from? And I think, in his 10-year tenure, I think us as fans have never really questioned him on where it's come from at all. Or if that question has been asked, we haven't got a straight answer. Nothing that can be backed up at all, to my knowledge. So correct me if I'm wrong. Let's read some of the comments out now. I'll come to Big Artie Show that's waiting. Ian says EFL needs to take the Reading approach and force him to sell. Just on that, because I've seen that mentioned numerous times. The only reason why the EFL stepped in with Reading is because he'd done something over in China, Dai Yong that is, which meant that he was no longer passing the fit and proper test. Other than, I know it's a big one, but other than not paying the HMRC and not paying the wages, as far as the EFL are concerned, things such as the training ground not being up to standard, the ground not being up to standard, in our eyes, not paying transfer fees, not selling players, all those sorts of stuff, that the EFL aren't really that arsed about all of that. So really, the 3-window embargo is the punishment that we're perhaps going to get if he doesn't pay the players again. Do you know what I mean? So the EFL, I suppose, unless that continues and players are not getting paid month on month on month and actually not being paid, let's be right, it was late, but it did get paid. Until that starts to happen, the AFL will not step in and do anything.
No, they won't, James, but you would hope a football regulator would, because that is exactly what a football regulator has been brought in to do. The EFL are using their powers that they currently have. They're hamstrung ultimately by the rules that have been written for them pretty much on how to govern this. The football regulator, however, that has been bubbling away in the background, they're not. And we spoke about it on, Jesus, there have been that many pods this week, James. We spoke about it on Wednesday, didn't we? The football regulator have all of these new wonderful and delicious powers to be able to ask an owner day one, where's your show us your 12-month plan for your funding for the next year. And if you haven't got it, you immediately drop straight out of being able to be fit and proper, and immediately, in theory, that is what happens, and the target is very firmly pointed at this man. But then when you think about the fact that 7 days ago, this appalling excuse of an owner decided to be arrogant enough to attempt to squeeze more money out of the current only interested party in Sheffield Wednesday. The only interested party that has tabled and been willing to meet all of the other stupid demands that have been placed on them. They are the only consortium who are willing to do that. We know there are rumours because, as we said on Wednesday, as Keith Lard said, there's no smoke without fire. However, if we are looking at the real issue here, the real issue is we are currently at the mercy of the regulator and when they come in because of the arrogance of the owner.
Yeah, the thing is, the regulator's not here yet, though, is it? It should be. It should have been done. Yeah. It should have been here years ago, but it isn't. So we're stuck with what we've got at the moment. I could, there's so many messages. I could keep reading these comments for days, but I've got Big Artie Shaw that wants to speak. How's it going, mate? All right?
Hello again, everybody.
Yes.
I honestly thought by talking on Wednesday that had been done for a few days or a few weeks, but here I am 2 days later, basically corroborating the work, the discussion we had 2 days ago. The bloke is an absolute disgrace, and to be paying staff 700 quid and basically you have to doff your cap to him is an absolute outrage. It's less than £200 a week someone's got to live on, all right, if this is their primary work and their primary employment. No one can live off to. We're in a crisis, living crisis, and this guy is basically compounding it for people who are going to struggle on bills and mortgages and everything like that because he can't rustle up money because he has no money.
The thing is, as well,
absolutely disgraceful.
The thing is, as well, like, surely he would have known about this beforehand. This isn't just something that's happened suddenly. Do you know what I mean? Like, money's just not just rushed out of his bank account yesterday and gone, oh shit, I've not got it. Like, something must have happened beforehand. Obviously, I'm sure he would have, thought he was going to get the money by this point. But this is the thing. You shouldn't have to go and get the money. Do you know what I mean? Like, the money should already be there. It's already forecast. I don't run a business. I ain't got a clue, according to Dejphon Chansiri, but surely this money, it's that word again, isn't it? Cash flow. There is no cash flow. Beg, borrow and steal constantly, 24/7, and was it 2 out of the last 3 months we're having wages issues? It's just not good enough.
It's disgusting. And if you think about it, when he was scrabbling around to get the last time he failed, if you noticed, there was a massive megastore fire sale, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And I know we're on about player fire sales, but look what he was doing. He must have known that he wasn't going to meet that, so he was selling absolutely everything in megastore. He was doing this, allegedly. It feels like a Ponzi scheme with his third strip.
Joe, I'm going to say it now. I'd be amazed if we see this third kit.
But people are paying money for it.
I know, but
and that's the thing.
But where's that money gone? Where's that money gone?
Exactly.
Because he hasn't even got money to pay the players. So,
well, the thing is, if he brings out a really crap third strip and then says, "Here, this is your 70 quid what you've just paid, and it's not worth it," surely that should be something which should be sent up to trading standards or something like that. They've got to have means to say that we're all paying 60, 70, 80 quid for a shirt, which isn't fit for purpose. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen a design. We haven't seen nothing. He was desperate, and he's desperately trying to scrabble as much cash from everywhere and anywhere, And he hasn't got the cash in Thailand, as what everybody believes, because if you look into it, it gets mentioned in the old annual reports at Thai Union Food, right, as part of the Chansiri.
What does it say? Does it say, "Do not give money to this man"? Is that what it says?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Recommendations: give no money to Dejphon. And it's quite remarkable that this Chansiri estate agents, right? I've had a look into it, and basically what that is a firm which was set up by his old man back in 1988, who basically rents out office space, funnily enough, to the Thai Union Group, Thai Union Food, and all attributed officers. Now, it's spooky how his dad's got done for insider trade deals, of which they had to reshuffle the share schemes, which his old man held. And funnily enough, Dejphon did not even get mentioned in it because he isn't part of it because he's not a major shareholder. Looking into it, and I need to fact check it, but he's only got not even 1% of a share in Thai Union Foods. The Thai Union Foods are making something like 4 to 5 billion a year, right? And he's got less than a percent in that company. So he's not making anything. He's worth about 15 million on that alone. So again, you've got to really dig into it and you've got to really look into it. It's not like as easy as going onto Companies House in this country. You've really got to try and drill it down. But also, in some of the literature which is out there, he's not known as Dejphon. He's known as Dejphon, Dejphon. And if you look at companies which are owned by that name, Chansiri, then you can see that he's got stakes in other companies, but he's not the owner. You know, he's got a stake in another firm. But again, when they're saying that they're making a turnover of 100 million Thai baht, that's worth about £500,000. You know, because it's on exchange rate. So actually, some of all this stuff, we're trying to get his head around. Where's he got this money from? He hasn't got the money. It's plain and simple. He's clearly trying to beg, borrow, steal, get us on our good side to buy stuff so that he can actually come over the hill and go, look at me, I paid it off. And we've got to wait now until Monday or Tuesday to then say, oh, it's paid off now. Everybody stand down, everything's fine. But then we've got to wait for June's payment, July's payment, where we're getting nothing coming through.
But where does this leave us now, do you think? Because, you know, we're just talking about wages here, but it's a football club. The transfer window opens on Sunday, I do believe, on the first. Like, you know, we've got a manager that doesn't want to manage this football club anymore. We've got staff or the coaches that, by all accounts, Monday, they haven't got a job. Like, where does this leave us? Because it's an absolute shambles.
It's shambolic. I don't know how many people work for that club, but do you know what? I would honestly just put my resignation into them and just walk away and just say I'll go and find a job wherever. You know, I'd rather sweep leads in the park because at least I'm getting paid. And I know that we talked about investment and what's the plan. The first plan from any any person who's going to try and buy us out is, number one, we will pay our playing staff on time, every month. Well, you've got that deal. You know, that is a deal signer. But now to hear that this second bid was well over the odds, again, as I mentioned on Wednesday, it's clear that he's not willing to accept it, and he spent all his goodwill and his years ago. He's now in that point now where what benefit is he getting from this? And this all stems back from, is he just getting some form of narcissistic gratification of absolutely ruining thousands of people's lives just because he's not willing to sell up?
Yeah, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. 'Cause, you know, at the fans forum near the end of the absolute marathon, which was that fans forum, he kind of opened up a little bit, and he was saying about how he doesn't see his kids and everything, and he's he consumes up so much of his time and energy, you know, having to come over here on the odd occasion that he does. And at that point, you know, he's had opportunities now where someone will take it off his hands. Someone is willing to take it off him. You know, the £9 million that he spends, apparently, or loses, or whatever terminology you want to use, every single year will be gone. It'll be someone else's problem. Someone else can pick up that tab, and he can just walk away. And he says he does it for the goodness of the club. Like, this isn't for the goodness of anyone. Like, I don't know what he's trying to do. look, next season, we're fortunate that we amassed enough points this current season that's just gone to stay in the Championship. Honestly, next season, I hope I'm wrong, but I can see it being absolutely shambolic. We could be in a situation that we were in with Cisco. 10 games in, not even one win. It wouldn't surprise me if that's where we are. Who we're going to bring in, I have no idea. The squad last season wasn't good enough. What sort of manager we're going to have? There's so many questions, isn't there, really? And there's zero answers at the moment.
And there's no direction, though, and that's the problem. You need the owner to give the direction. He doesn't give direction. He just blames everybody, anybody except for himself. He should be the one who's turning around and giving the plan, his strategy, and saying to the manager, you've got 3 years, we want to be touching and aiming for playoffs by the third year, and then we can talk about extending your contracts, as a normal owner would have done. But he doesn't. He's literally going, it's as if he doesn't even set a reminder on his calendar, 25th of each month, check your bank balance just in case. He clearly doesn't even do that. Because how can he get to this point where we get to 30th of May and literally he's gone, oh, I've missed another payment again. And it feels like I'm just doing the same like a stuck record now. I did it a couple of weeks ago where I said he's clueless. I did it on Wednesday, God, so long ago, that he's clueless. And yet here we are again. And all we can say is, why is he still here? He's a disgrace. He should basically sell up, shut up, and get lost.
Yeah,
and that's it. And that's it. I can't talk anymore because last time I think we were on for 20 minutes. It's unfair for me to keep taking over. I'll let other people have their say.
No, it's great comments, man. Do really appreciate it. Thanks for coming up, pal. Like I said, do appreciate it as always.
No, thanks. Please let other people have their views.
We will do.
Everybody needs to say it.
I've got G, I've got Ted, I've got James that wants to speak as well. But Matt, I just want to come to you with this one. James has said over on YouTube, are we all being guilty of being a tad alarmist and emotionally knee-jerk reactionistic? What's your take on that, Matt?
I think if it was the first time, I could understand it. But I think we've seen we had 4 months of 4 months of unpaid wages during COVID. This is the second time in the space of 3 months. We've got a manager who doesn't want out. We can't pay any fees for players. We can't pay basic needs of staff who work at the club. No, I don't think so. I think the
tax bill as well didn't get paid at the end of last year.
The second, it's 2 in 2 years, isn't it? The tax bill. There isn't with the Reading buyout, I'm really pleased for them. We are the worst run football club in the country. There's no two ways about it. And we've got an owner who moans and moans and moans and moans about the state of this football club, but his refusal to accept any responsibility in his handling of this situation is just startling.
Do you know what? I think Dejphon Chansiri is a very, very lucky man. He's lucky that he bought a football club in Sheffield Wednesday that has a fan base the size, and I think we've been way more accommodating than what we perhaps should have been over the 10 years that he's been here. People talk about the League One days has been some fantastic moments, and they were beating Peterborough, beating Barnsley, but forgetting that this is League One. Like, we were in the Championship when he took over. He had to get us relegated in order to give us those amazing moments, and they were. I will forever remember Peterborough and Barnsley. But had the football club been running the right way, we shouldn't have even had to do that. If you know what I mean. I know that sounds a daft thing to say, but that he had to drop down to a level that was below where we should have been in order to give us any sort of relative success. And we turn up in our the gates that we have every single week when it's an absolute shit show under Cisco Munoz. We still turned up. We still bought the shirts. We did everything we could do. Imagine owning a club like Stevenage or Accrington. Do you know what I mean? Where they're getting gates of a couple of thousand every single week. Like, how is he going to be able to manage there? Like, and again, it really annoys me when he when he hits us with that stick all the time of how much he's having to pay and stuff. Again, I've used that in the analogy. Like, if you buy a Ferrari, guess what? You have to pay for it, and it costs a lot more than a Nissan Micra. Like, it's tough shit. Like, you chose to buy Sheffield Wednesday. Nobody made him buy this football club. No. You have to be able to run the football club, and at the moment, he cannot run it. He just needs to sell the club. Just honest. I get so wound up about it, and it's so, you know, we come on here, you know, Wednesday, Saturday, we do, you know, 4 podcasts a week talking about the same shit. And it's not just that. We've been working tirelessly, you know, behind the scenes, and you have as well, Matt, you know, constantly, phone calls, messages, everything. It's just so tiring to follow this football club. And it's not just us, it's everyone else. You see all the messages on social media. Shouldn't be like this. We should be talking about what winger are we going to sign, you know, to take us into the next level. What centre back is going to join?
Finally, compliment Ike Ugbo.
Yeah, what centre back's going to join Dejphon Bernard next season? You know, who's going to be the new Shea Charles that we're going to have playing in the middle of the park? And instead, we're talking about, will Doris T Lady get paid on Monday the remaining wages that she's owed? Like, this is the levels that we're at. You know, we've got. Oh, honestly, yeah.
But the other thing is, James. Sorry, just I know you've run up a full head of steam there.
Let me have a drink of water.
You might need something stronger than that.
I'll go downstairs and
I think the other thing is, James. Also, just before we move on to your next caller, is we are currently the biggest investors in this football club year on year. Nobody invests more into this football club than us as fans. Because the chairman, you might be losing £9 million a year. How much collectively is this fan base losing every year? This fan base every year collectively has got to be losing in excess of that, surely. I haven't done the sums or numbers on it, but if you put it all together over the course of the season, we are your biggest investors, and we're treated appallingly. Absolutely appallingly. If you were to treat, or you were to speak about sponsors being treated in this way, you'd be thinking, oh yeah, I'm not surprised that they've walked out. I'm not surprised that they've left. Or maybe you'd vilify them and rag them all over Twitter and claim that they're skint. But my point for this is just, why on earth how on earth has it been allowed to get to this point? Because it's not a fan's job. It's like to immediately do that. Fans are reactionary. We are reacting to this. It is for a variety of different people in there to have seen these alarm bells come in. I think it's going to be taken out of his hands now, because from the bid that went in last week, I mean, if I was coming back in with a bid, I'd be saying yesterday's price is not today's price, sadly. Yeah. You're struggling. You're going to get absolutely rinsed here by them. Tell you what, let's go back and start at our first offer, shall we, before this gets ripped out of your hands, and I'll give it you now.
Yeah, you're right there. I'm going to come to G in a second, then I've got James. I'm just going to read a few more comments out. Got a long one here from Dave. He says, James, Matt, can you clarify, please? There's been a lot of talk online about the bids. Is this your understanding? Bid 1, sure, rejected. Bid 2, sure, rejected. Simon's takeover talk is totally separate consortium, ? Finally, Walmart rumour separate. Seeing online discussions, it seems the second rejection, or reported rejection, was the Walmart one, but I thought it was sure. Sorry, long message.
My understanding, James, and I'm only going off what Joe Cran has said, Florida-based consortium for both first and second bid. That would lead me to believe it's the same consortium, which if it was Adam Shaw for the first one, it'll be Adam Shaw for the second one. The Walmart bid, I mean this very nicely, and I'm not meaning to throw shade at somebody on Owls Talk here, because I don't know them, I've never spoken to them, I've never met them. What bid? It was a Friday that we all came on and learned about this mysterious bid of the Denver Broncos owner being interested. They may be interested, but as to this moment in time, sat here on the 30th of May, nobody's bid. Nobody's bid from that consortium. Nobody's interested.
Yeah. Right, let's come to G then next. G, how's things? All good?
I'm just sat here watching Coronation Street. I'm having to listen to what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah, where do you stand with all G? Because we've been here before, haven't we? It does seem like deja vu, and every time I say that we shouldn't really be having to talk about these sort of things, but here we are again. But at least we've got Owls in the Park to look forward to, mate.
Oh, that'll be summer. Yeah, I think there could be protests on ours in the park, maybe.
Yeah,
But
I've seen a lot of
I don't
people
think.
talk about that. To be fair,
I don't think there'll be protests on ours in the park because there's young kids there, and I don't think that'll be fair on them because
do you know what's not
every
fair
time.
though? Do you know what? There might not be a football club. There might not be any players at Owls in the Park. There might not be any players on the pitch come August, the first game in August, first game of the new season. Like that's the reality. That's where we are. I mean, I hope it doesn't get to that point, and it probably won't. But do you know what I mean? Like this is. I know I'm probably being a little bit kind of over the top, but this is not normal. It's not normal for a football club to be late with payment and to have serious cash flow problems, and then be so stubborn to not even, there's someone there, as I just mentioned 5 minutes ago, there's someone or a group of people that are saying, I will take the club off your hands. I will have it. But he's not willing to do that. Why?
It's because it's just because he's asking for money. Like what's been said is he's consistently begging. That's all he's doing. Like if you saw some guy on outside a shop and he's constantly begging for money, you know what I mean, or outside a cash till begging, they'd be begging, wouldn't they? And
but people are willing to give him a substantial amount of money, and he can just walk away. He can just walk away, and it'll just be a name on Sheffield Wednesday's history that he was the chairman for that 10-year period, and we can look back on it and go, yes, it was great that we got to Wembley and we got so close to the Premier League, and it can all be forgotten about, and we can just move on as a football club. And do you know what, as well, I'm not even that interested in bringing in star players and getting back into the promised land in the Premier League. I just want to be valued as a fan, and I just want to be run like any other normal football club. You don't hear these things about, Stoke or, I don't know, Burnley or pick any other Derby. I mean, I suppose we did hear about Derby a bit back, but they seem to have turned a corner somewhat at the moment. But do you know what I mean? Like, I just want to be a normal club, and we're just not that normal club.
All I want, right, is for us to be a sustainable club, right, run properly, and we go into that ground every week, filling it up, cheering players on. But the only thing that overshadows it is the bad ownership. And right now, I think we've got the biggest lost shark in for football history right now.
Yeah, I put a tweet out saying, are we the worst run club in the EFL? And I think 99.9% of people said yeah. Someone said no, but I think he must be on the wind up, to be honest. G, massive thanks for coming on, pal. Do appreciate it. I've got loads of people that want to speak as well. Let me come to James next. Let me just read a few more of the
Sorry, James, I've just started
messages.
this one here from Future Bear Random Facts and Fun. Great name. Any potential investor / new owner would leave it until the very last minute to buy the club. In my opinion, a club on its knees is cheaper to buy, potentially. I agree with you. That is sensible business practice. The problem is you've got a bidder who has got an emotional attachment to the football club, who's willing to shelve all of that smart business sense in the nature of getting a deal done. And our owner has had the absolute brass neck and gall and arrogance to say, do you know what? No, I'm not going to do that, knowing full well that they can't meet the needs, basic requirements of an ownership group. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, that is true, and I've said it many times about why buy a club that is seemingly going to be on the decline? Like you buy it when it bottoms out, which you'd like to think is going to be in League One for us, realistically. I can't see us going any lower than that. Had we have been had this not have happened, and had we have stabilised, and had we have had some sort of transfer budget, and the club, finished, we survived the season before, we're 12th last season. On paper, it looks like a team on the up. I can't wait to see people's 1-24 predictions. They've not really followed Wednesday for, they've not really seen what's been happening, because I can't wait to see some people putting us in kind of like 10th and 9th, 10th place or something like that next season, when they just don't realise how much of an absolute shit show it is. Elton said robbing Peter to pay Paul has been for years. He isn't losing 9 million a year. It's just he isn't seeing the 9 million due to his bad debts and trying to justify he isn't a failure when he is. Does these people what say it's not fair on the kids are just stupid and need to see the bigger picture? I think it's a very tricky one, that one, Daz, because I've mentioned it many a time. Like, the kids are the future of the football club. That's fact. Like, we were once kids before, they're at the age of 5, 6, 7 or whatever. Would I have understood the things that are going off at and understood, what's been happening? Probably not. They do just want to go and watch the football. But I suppose on the flip side of it, families are having to stump up a lot of money to watch absolute mediocrity on the football pitch.
That's it, James. And also, I mean, Owls in the Park, I mean, a lot of that will obviously go, I would assume it will be a 50-50 split in terms of vendors to revenue that goes to the club. I have no idea, obviously, because I'm assuming Sheffield Wednesday invites vendors to come and either takes a percentage of the profit or doesn't take it, or the vendors actually don't take anything. In the need for exposure is something that we've been told today from, I think it was Jake in the Discord group, where I think it was somebody who was contacted through who he knew was given that opportunity, and they basically said, yeah, no thanks, I'm all right.
You can't pay for your mortgage with exposure, can you, mate?
No, of course not. And the other thing is, James, I mean, I know before all of this happened, that was the hottest topic of debate about protesting at Owls in the Park. What a world that was. But there are ways to protest without it being like absolutely rank and spoiling like a child's day out. There are banners, there are posters, there are bits and pieces that you can laden all out and emblazon all over Hillsborough with, that is about the message of getting this person out of the football club and to sell it, and enough is enough. The other side to this is there's a lot of people who have also said, don't put any more money into the club than you need to. That is putting more money into the club than you need to. You can go and spend the money that you would do at Owls in the Park by going and having a wonderful and a fantastic day elsewhere. If you are worried about the protest, go and do that. The money that you would put aside for this. And I would never, ever tell people to stay away from the football club, because that is not what I want to do at all, James. But if you are feeling that strongly and you are that worried, the 40, 50 quid that you'd spend on a day out, go and do it somewhere else at this if you are really worried about it, because there will be people who have very, very strong feelings towards this situation at this point in time. And it's, again, I spoke about it on Wednesday, James. It's not something I want to bring my 4-year-old lad into at this point in time.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's lots of parents that are going to think exactly the same as you, Matt, to be fair. Let's come to James then next, if he's there. James, pal, how's things? All good?
All right, pal. I'm glad you finally brought me on. I've been fucking dying for a shit bit, so I'm fucking glad to do it. I won't take too much shit.
Well, mate, if you want to go and sort yourself out, I can bring you back on in 5 minutes' time, mate. It's up to you.
It's all right, lad. It's all right. I'm certainly ready a bit, but I'll manage. Anyway.
Anyway, mate, go on. This is what you get for live content. This is the sort of stuff you get. Go on, mate. How are you feeling that about the whole situation at Sheffield 6?
Well, I'll tell you what, pal, I'm getting fucking moderate, to be honest, pal. I can't take it anymore. It's one thing after another. It's not even one thing a week anymore. It's two, three things coming out every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mentally, and obviously I'm not going to be feeling as bad as the fucking non-footballing stuff I've been paid today, but mentally, opening this app on your phone, you see something every day about the club, how it's being ran. And today, I didn't find out about this unpaid wages stuff till about 5 o'clock. My blood were boiling.
Yeah.
It's how
it's not the first time, is it, James? It's not the first time this has happened. Do you know what I mean? Literally 2 months ago. Do you know what I mean? And we're in the same situation.
It's personally, I think it's on EFL. I know they're doing this football regulator, but how was this being allowed to continue? These rules a bit something. How can you let a football club be run like this? Just be destroyed in front of our eyes. Everyone can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll confess, I don't know what this regulator. I don't know the ins and outs of all of it. But when you look at it, at the end of the day, it's us as fans which suffer. I know there's non-playing staff that have not been paid, and that is obviously really bad. But when you look at over the course of, Chansiri's tenure, paying through the nose for his mistakes, let's be right about it, him not putting money, not getting commercial, other sponsors to come into to the club, and like other businesses to invest into the football club. This happens all over with other football clubs up and down the country. But yet we have to rely on his money all the time, and we get beaten by that stick constantly. And it's just not fair as fans. It's almost like there should be some sort of more guidance or more stricter rules on what owners of football clubs can and can't do. The amount of money that they can charge for tickets and things like that. It's almost like there should be some, I don't know, more stringent guidelines, maybe, James.
You can't run a business. That's what it comes down to.
You can't run a bath, mate.
You can't run a fucking bath, yeah, right. But the thing is as much of a dickhead that he is, I can't believe that there's no intervention. And like, I just can't believe that we can all see it. The club is dying. It's almost dead. I know we're in Championship now, but with this embargo, first of all, that's straight to League One. You got no money because you're not selling players. So how'd you even rebuilding League One because you got no money, right? So two things there, fucked. How long would it take us to get out of League One? Would we get out of League One? Would we be stuck in League One? Do you know what I mean?
There's so many questions that are going to be left kind of unanswered. And
but the thing is, James, even when wages are getting paid, there's always stuff about Daddy Roll going.
I forgot about that, James, to be fair, for 2 days.
This is the thing, though, isn't it? It's easy to forget about it because there's that much shit going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of shits, pal, I'm going to have to head off.
Mate, you're more
telling me on my first time on here. So,
yeah, you know what? It's great to hear different voices and stuff. Enjoy the next 5 minutes, mate.
Cheers, pal.
But cheers, pal. Thanks for coming on. If you don't do the same as James, just press request to talk over on Twitter Spaces, and you can come up and have a chat. That's exactly what Nick's done. Nick, I'll come to you in a second. Another James has said, I get the feeling this regulator is good in principle, but realistically, what powers are they going to have? Well, they can actually step in, can't they, Matt?
Yeah, I've just done some research on this. If you just type in, literally exactly what I've just done while I was listening to James there. There's an article from Pinsent and Mason where they talk about, if you scroll down it's the enforcement powers, and it says the IFR has strong powers to investigate and enforce compliance with its rules and decisions. It has 5 sanctions at its disposal that it can impose on a club: a censure statement, which is fuck all really, appointment of a person to assist in the running of the club, financial penalties of up to 10% of the club's revenue. Well, that's fine because we don't earn fuck all. Seeking a court injunction requiring compliance, and finally, suspension or revocation of a club's operating license so that its team is withdrawn from the relevant league. Worrying.
Yeah, and I hope it really doesn't get to that point. Nick, before I come to you, these are the comments that I mean it in the nicest way possible, that I hate the most. Ian, blade in peace. Genuinely feel for your fans. It's disgusting what he's doing to your club. He hasn't even given you a full week of taking the piss out of us without being more embarrassing. And Ian, thanks for coming over, mate. But like I said, I hate those sorts of comments because Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United should be taking the piss out of each other, and there should be banter between both sets of fans throughout the whole throughout the whole course of the season, the year, everything. We shouldn't be getting United fans coming up here and feeling sorry for us, should we, Matt?
No, there's been Plymouth fans, West Brom fans, there's Sunderland fans online, all basically saying, what the fuck is going off at you boys? I feel so sorry for you. It shouldn't be the case. Like, as you say, James, it's really disheartening. Thank you very much, Ian, for watching the content and obviously coming in and obviously putting something in the chat. But we didn't even get an afternoon of taking a piss out of you boys before somebody had already started to go back to all of the nonsense that's coming out of this football club. What a mess, man.
Right, let's come to Nick then. Sam, I'll come to you after. Nick, how's things, mate? All good?
Yeah, all right, mate. How are you? Long time no speak.
Yes, I know. Normally you come on, I hear the birds tweeting in the background and everything else. But no, it's It's draining, mate, isn't it, Nick? It's so draining.
I know. This wasn't my point, but I mean, I think I just want to pick up on something Matt just said there, and I think a lot of people are holding out for the regulator thing. But from what Matt said there, it kind of says to me, Chansiri is going to be like, well, I'm no worse off than what I am now. It doesn't, but nothing, because I think a lot of people have said, haven't they, that they can step in and they can force them to sell. I mean, I know it's been on, but how long's that taken for Reading? Years and years. But for what Matt's just said there, the worst penalty is you're disqualified from playing in the league, for which Chansiri's obviously at the minute doesn't seem an issue, if you know what I mean. So I think a lot of people are holding out for this, but it sounds like he'll just sit back and go, all right then.
Yeah, but I think there's other things that he might come unstuck on, such as kind of proving funds as well, which we talked about that earlier. Like he hasn't had to do that at all, to my knowledge. Certainly publicly, anyway. I don't know what he might have done with the EFL privately or not, but we don't know. As I mentioned many a time, we don't know where his money comes from. Well, it don't come from anywhere, does it? As clearly has been shown today, the club's insolvent, isn't it? The club is running insolvently. You cannot afford, for things. And when's the next windfall going to come? Sky money? I don't know when the Sky money comes in. Maybe that's the next big windfall that he's going to have, or player sales, as I was mentioning. But we only sell one player a year, which is seemingly all right. So that's not going to bring much money in, is it?
Sorry, James. Nick. I was just going to jump in here just to add to that again, because I'm trying to do all of this on the fly, because there's a lot of articles that have come up on the IFR. Another article has also said to assess the suitability of individuals aspiring to be owners or officials of football clubs and impose responsibility on clubs, owners, officials. Now, what it doesn't say there is, as you rightly said, Nick, be able to revoke a license of ownership or something like that.
So I've not read it. It's just from what you said there, Matt. But I think a lot of people have been hanging on the hat and saying, do you know what? It can get worse. It can get worse. But this regulator will step in and will take the club off its hands. But everything you've just said there sounds to me like that's not an option. I think, this wasn't the point I wanted to make, but look at everything that's happening with Man City. How long is it taking for them to resolve it? It's years and years, and they'll come out with a ruling, and Man City will turn around and say, right, I'll challenge every single 150 ruling you've just revoked us on, and you just go back to the drawing board. And I think the first time it happens, which could well be us, is going to be such dodgy ground, and it's just going to be lawyering up. How long is it going to go through the court? 2, 3, Nick, 4, 5 years?
Nick, have Man City got a lawyer that is also a translator? That is the big question.
I think Chansiri will probably sit there with Google Translate just to save a few quid.
They've already resorted to using AI for the images, so I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. But yeah, go on.
No, my main point tonight was I get the feeling with Chansiri, and I didn't listen from the start, so apologies if I missed this, but I think we're now at a stage where his bluff's been called. I think his biggest thing has been, when people have challenged him, put the club up for sale, no one wants to buy it, no one wants to buy it, no one wants to buy it.
Find me a
buyer. Now
buyer.
it's coming out. Yeah, and I'm not going to comment on Simon, because I think that's a different topic, but the bloke's gone out there and seems to have found said buyer, and now I think he's in a position where my ace has just been, I've played my ace and that's not worked now. It's quite clear, it's in the open, there are people that want to buy this club, so what do I do now? I'm not the I'm not the Lord and Saviour anymore. There are people out here who want to buy it. Where's my next move? And I think I put on the group today on Discord, and I know you commented back, Matt. For me, there's 2 options here. He's either thought, absolutely run it into the ground, and that will put off any buyer whatsoever, or there's a buyer in, and it's now your problem now, pal. You sort it if you want it. And I just hope it's the latter option. I nearly put a point in the Discord group earlier. The guy, and when people have defended him, he's got the club at his heart. He's a businessman. He's not a businessman. The best way I can, because I work in finance as my job and stuff, and I think the best way I can put it across at the minute, the position is, in my mind, it's like you're selling your car and someone's come over to you and gone, all right, how much do you want for it? And I've said, I don't know, 10 grand. All right, 10 grand. No, I don't want 10 grand anymore. 12. Okay, all right. Walks away. It then transpires my car needs 20 grand's of work putting on it. The buyer comes back and he's going to sit there and still want 10 grand. And they're going to come back and go, it's not the offer anymore, I'm afraid. And then he'll turn around and I can hear it now. He will turn around at the next forum. Somebody came in with a bid and it didn't meet my valuation. They came back in again and they put a lower valuation in than they'd originally offered. What do you want me to do? That's what he'll sit there and say. And I don't understand this mentality of, like we said, if it is 100 million quid, I know 100 million, it won't transfer because of tax I know there's loopholes around it and there'll be clever people who can work it, but I don't get what the guy is getting out of it. Yes, you might have lost 50, but you've still got more money than any of us could ever dream of having sat there. I don't get it. Yeah, I just don't understand the guy's mentality.
But you'll know as well, Nick, this sunken costs. So it's like the money spent is gone and vanished. Do you know what I mean? That's not, that's not, you can't say, to use your analogy about the car, well, I've put, £4,000 worth of fuel in this car, so I need that money back. Like you all the money that's been spent, like these things that just can't be recouped. But more to what Matt was saying, unless he needs the money to pay people off that he owes money to, which is probably going to be a distinct possibility right now.
I do just wonder as well whether we are just one of the pawns on the chessboard with his quote unquote businesses, in a sense of, and that's why he doesn't want people to see the books, because it comes out last time round, doesn't it? I'm owed significant sums of money from another company. Oh, all of a sudden that money comes in. What happens is that the lad who was spoken earlier, sorry I didn't get his name, who was talking about looking into his businesses in Thailand. What happens if the builders are knocking on the door? Boom, I'm owed significant sums of money from another company, which could well be us.
But
money going out the back door that we don't know about.
Nick, he mentioned about investing as well. He has to invest the money. That's dodgy in itself. He's taking money out of the football club to then put somewhere else, to then generating more money to then be able to run the football club. Like, where is that? Where is that right? Like the money, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe if other football clubs do this, I have no idea. It just sounds really dodgy, especially when you then miss payments.
Well, James, what better way for anyone that sort of works in any sort of finance? What better way to launder money than a football club?
Yeah,
there's no value. It's all people's opinions on how much a player costs. And I know we don't sell people, so he's obviously a shit money launderer. But if you look at, if you look, there's again going off on a tangent like you boys most Sunday evenings. But if you look at,
don't throw any shade on here, Nick, about me and Matt.
But if you look at a player such as, let's have a think, Alvaro Morata, constantly goes for 70, 80 million pounds, and what does he do? Went to Chelsea and scored 10 goals. Oh, he's back to Atletico Madrid for 70 million pounds. Alexis Sanchez, another one just springs to mind. £500,000 a week he was on at Man United. Did absolutely, I know he was good before that, absolutely fuck all. And that's why I say, what better way to make money disappear and reappear than saying to somebody, I think that player is worth X amount of money. And somebody goes, yeah, all right then. There's no... So there's
no actual money transferred, especially if you do it between your own accounts, like Sheffield 2, 3, 4. Are we on now? Sheffield, has he opened Sheffield 6, Sheffield 7, 8? Like, he's going through the whole postcode, I think, with all these businesses that he's got, and D-taxes as well. It'll
be into Barnsley next for their 71. That's how far it'll have expanded.
Well, hopefully he's not here that long to be able to get into that.
But I just think it goes back to me, and I'll let somebody else have a chat in a minute, but it just goes back to my original point. Somebody's calling his bluff, and now it's, I don't know what to do.
But he's done this. Nick, he's done this many a times. He said about, you pay the wages or you pay the tax bill. People set up GoFundMe and actually were genuinely putting money in to pay the tax bill. And he said, "Oh, I was just joking. I was just messing about." Same again. I think he, because he hasn't got a plan, because he just fires from the hip constantly. He comes out with this absolute bullshit all the time, and he thinks he's winning. You find me a buyer. He doesn't think that people are going to do that. But when you've got a fan base as big as what we have got, there will be someone out there that has got the time and that will go out and do this sort of stuff just because he's got a chip on his shoulder that he says there's lots of wealthy people in Sheffield, but they don't give me their money. He's got a chip on his shoulder in that, so he probably thinks that there's not them people operating in those circles that can actually come forward with the money. But as you rightly mentioned there, they've called his bluff, and what's his next move? Because I really don't know.
I think if it is true, and I know you touched on it earlier, that if there is a bid in from the bloke who owns the Denver Broncos, his Chansiri's quote unquote wealth compared to that bloke, it's the same gap as between me and you to Chansiri. It's that vast of money. If he's the 11th richest bloke in the world who wants to buy us, it's that gap in terms of cash. And if he has to deal with him, he is then not the bloke who's sat there, who's in control. It's the chap on the other side of the table. Because I know I've touched on this before, maybe not on the pod speaking to you lads, but I think, Matt, you've got a bit of a grasp of American sports in terms of you cannot go and buy a franchise for £100 million in America.
No.
You ain't even getting through the front door. You're talking, and you look at the ownerships. If you look at the NFL especially, a lot of them have never even changed hands.
No.
Since they've started. So you can't even you can't buy them. You look at I think it's the New York Giants. They've never changed hands. It's always been in the family. So if it is a bloke from America who wants to buy us, it's like a stupid analogy. It's like him going to McDonald's to buy the Denver Broncos, and they go, "Do you want to supersize it?" And that's Wednesday on the side for an extra $5. It genuinely is that gap in money.
Sorry, Nick, just about that point up. For some stupid reason, I'm a Cleveland Browns NFL follower. They are dog shit, like really dog shit. To give you an idea, James, and for those who are listening who don't follow NFL, because James, I know you don't give a shit. They went 3-14 out of 17 games this season, won 3, lost 14. They're worth $6.2 billion. So it gives you an idea of the scale of like those franchises and their worth.
Can I just say, once we start talking about form and start going 10-0 and stuff like that, football's gone. The game.
Or you mean
0-10,
like a Wembley record?
Oh yeah, yeah. Nick, massive thanks for coming on, pal.
Cheers,
I
lads.
really appreciate it. Graham says in the comments, this guy's talking so much sense about the money laundering. Got one from Justin. He says he thinks he saved us. I'm going to come to Sam next. Tom, do stick around. I'm going to come to you after. Kevin plays. Kevin, players in the NFL are paid more than the value of Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I've just brought up this one up from Matt, who, for those who don't follow Matt Thomas on X, please go and do so. He does a lot of coverage of American sports and also a lot of Wednesday stuff. He's put the clubs in the second tier of the USA Soccer League system are moving into stadiums costing 100 to 600 million to build. To add some context of the money that we're talking for Sheffield Wednesday is not an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, right. Let's come to Sam then next. I've been waiting patiently. Sam, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I think so, mate. To be fair, I've just.
Have you had a shit, Sam? Have you had a shit? So I know we had James earlier that said he was busting, but are you all right in that?
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. It's just I'm just. I don't know. All the callers have been really good tonight, and I haven't been on for a while. But mate, it's just getting out of. It's just terrible. Obviously, got that bid through. When was it? Tuesday, Wednesday. We got that bid through.
Monday,
and I was like,
over the weekend.
Was it Monday? Yeah. And I was like, here we go.
It feels like a long week, Sam. It feels like a very long week.
I know. And then obviously got the bid through. I was like, here we go, accepted. Oh, declined. Oh, great. So
do you know what? The only thing I would say on that is the first bid, it came out that the club put out that the bid had been rejected. I've heard nothing from the club in regards to this one, only from Joe Cran to say that this second bid's being rejected. So has it been rejected? Has it not? I mean, surely
it's not. It's not very clear, though, is it? It's not very clear if it's been rejected or not. But it's just, and then obviously we've got even better news today when the players or some of the staff haven't been paid. I'm just thinking to myself, just go, mate. Just go. It's just like, you made some very good points about everything, and it's just like, why isn't the EFL getting involved? It's. I just think they should, but
Yeah, I mean, like I've said a few times, Sam, like these rules and regulations that EFL have, and maybe they should be a bit more stringent. But other than not paying the players, which I know is a really big one, but there is a protocol for that, and we're just kind of in that at the moment. We're on the cusp of that 30 days, which if payments not being made certainly by Tuesday, I do believe, then that is it. Like 3-window embargo. We are I don't really know what's going to happen after that point. I really don't know. But
I don't think anyone knows. To be fair,
where do you see us going, Sam? Because I've just said we've got wages not being paid. We've got a manager that doesn't want to be here, and we're holding out for some £4-5 million compensation fee or whatever it is that we're trying to bring in.
Yeah,
we've got coaching staff that come Monday aren't employed by Sheffield Wednesday, to my knowledge, and we've got 16, 17 first team players on the books at the moment, and we've given contracts to 3 players that as of yet haven't signed them in Barry Bannon, Akinfenmewo, and Callum Patterson. Like it's an absolute shambles.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's just he just needs to cut his losses and go. But is that much of a big head? Chansiri, he doesn't want to let go. I'm just thinking it's the best thing he can ever do. Let go of the club, move on, give it to someone that's actually got money, and not doing it month by month, because you look stupid, mate. You do look stupid. You're the only chairman of a club that can't pay the wages every month. It's just ridiculous. If you look at other chairmen, you don't hear about them. Oh, can't pay this, can't pay that.
Sam, more to your point there, you don't hear about any other chairman.
No, you don't. That's true. That's true. Yeah,
I would go as far as saying, again, I mentioned, we do the preview show, so I speak to a lot of fans of other clubs. There's a WhatsApp group that I'm in with fans of all the clubs in the Championship. And honestly, when anything lands, they all talk. Whenever we come on, they all talk about Chansiri. Whenever I go on their preview show, it's always a question. What's crack with your owner? And they all know him by name.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who any.
How long? Thing is, how long is it going to take for someone to step in and has he had a word with his dad, or obviously I think his family members were at the last game of the season.
Without him, by the way, which I thought was quite odd.
What's that?
Without him, he wasn't there.
Yes,
which I did think was a bit strange.
But then people at the match seeing demonstrations in Hillsborough Park, which was brilliant. But they must be going, hang on a minute, I think you should really step away and let someone else buy the club. But he's like a dog with the bone. He doesn't want to seem to let go, and it's just it's the best thing he could ever do. And obviously he's apparently not very well or whatever, and he doesn't see his family members much. But let go of the club, let someone else take it and run it like a proper club.
Yeah, Sam, some great points there. Do appreciate it, and thanks for coming back on, pal. Do like I said, do always like new voices and stuff. So do stick around. Let's get some more comments. Have you seen anything else you've been looking, Matt? Or
the only one that I've seen is just whilst I was kind of rattling through, just listening to Sam's comments there. I'm just sat in just stunned silence, pretty much since mid afternoon, James. There was one earlier up, and it will take me quite a while, I think.
I've got one. I've got one here.
Mate.
Nick says, I've spoken with the Sheffield Wednesday player today, done some work for him, confirmed not paid, and that is circus behind the scenes. Chef Cam, if you're not following Chef Cam, why? Got a fantastic YouTube channel. Go and watch all this stuff. He said at this point he's been a deliberate shithouse. Alex Smith, what about the resurfacing of the pitch? I've heard a few people saying this, and that again, add it to the list of things that don't make sense at Sheffield Wednesday. I know that obviously is something that has to be done and things, but things can wait when you're not paying staff that work, that are non-football playing staff, and when you're only paying them £700. it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, isn't it? Really, when I
would
know these
also-
time frames and stuff like that and everything else, but.
It's the optics of it, James. Again, it's the optics with loads of this. It's because you would imagine that resurfacing and the actual plans for it and paying a company to go and do the work will have been months ago down the line.
Yeah, it could be, but speak to the EFL and just get the first 3-4 games played away. Other clubs have done. Do you know what I mean? And just there's been something that's happened. I want to make sure I pay my players. Pay my staff. Let's delay it a week or whatever it may be. You're right, optics massively.
I'm just going to go to this last one here, which is this one from Alex Young. Is if DC knew we needed the money, why didn't he lower the compensation deal with Bremen to get Danny? The reason being is the same reason why he didn't sell when a tangible bid came in the first time and the second time. It's pride, it's ego, it's holding on to an asset that he believes is worth an X amount of money because he still hasn't come to the realization or to terms with the fact of this football club no longer needs to be run by him. In his head, he still, I would imagine, if we're going just off the information that we've learned in the last, 7 days, he still feels he can turn this situation around, because otherwise, why would you reject such a bid? I agree with you, and we spoke about it right at the start, James, didn't we? We talked about the need for a fire sale. I don't want to get rid of the manager. I don't want to get rid of Jenny Gassama. I don't want to get rid of Piers Charles. But those are the only things that are worth any monetary value. And at this point, when you can't pay people who work in the club shop or the ticket office, or as you keep going back to Doris the tea lady, if we can't pay these people their wages, you have to sell your assets. You've already sold the ground to yourself and balls that up, so that's gone. Training ground as well, I would assume so. What do you do? The only assets that are tangible assets that can make you money at the club. I would add Dejphon Bernard into that as well. There's 4 players that you could sell to generate the funds to be able to set yourself up to run this football club for the next 12 months and give you a chance of staying up. But it will not go according to the plan that you've got laid out. But he's not willing to confront that, because that's a difficult thing, and he doesn't want to come out as being crap.
Yeah, Tom, I'll come to you in a second. But it's like you're right when you say that, Matt. If I lost my job tomorrow, look, I've got back into cycling. I've got a few, I've got a mountain bike, got a road bike, got a few other bits and bobs in the garage. If push comes to shove, and I'm like, I'm stuck for money, I'm selling those bikes 100%. As much as it pain me. And I think, I really like them. I really enjoy going out on my bike and things. I know it might not look like it, but trust me, I do.
Necessarily harsh.
But you just have to do these things, and I don't know what the end game is. I really, really don't. Let's come to Tom next. Tom, how's things? All good, mate?
Hi, not bad, lads. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah,
I've had better Fridays, Tom. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, go on, Tom.
Yeah,
Tom, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to say?
To be honest, it's kind of an extension of what Matt was just saying, but I'm always obviously it's been an absolute wank day, and it's not the first, obviously. I'm always reminded, though, like if I think about Chansiri's mentality in general, if I try and put myself in his shoes, which I feel like is just asking for trouble, but I can't remember when it was, but I always go back to when he was referred to as the custodian of the club.
Yeah.
And I believe, I want to say that we're a couple of years back, but I can always remember how insulted he was by that. How much that seemed to hurt him, his pride, as many people have rightly said, his ego. And I just feel like ever since then, I mean, he was a bit of a bad egg before that, but after that, I don't know if anyone else will agree with me, but after that, it seemed like he just turned into a complete narcissist, whereas before he was just a bit of one, he dabbled here and there. Now I feel like he's on this one-man mission to sink it, really.
Yeah, again, I've said it many, many times. I feel like he's so emotional. Like his decisions he makes are based on emotion and emotion only. They're not business decisions. He didn't like Darren Moore. He wanted to get rid of Darren Moore. Like that was his. He didn't want to engage in any negotiations. He didn't like him. He apparently there's certain players at the club that he likes, and they're on decent deals. They're on decent wages, or they certainly have been for the past couple of years. And other players he doesn't like aren't given a good deal. Like how is that even right? I know it's his club and he can do whatever he wants, but how is that actually? It's not the correct way to run a football club. Again, he sees us as the enemy, but yet wants us to pay constantly all the time. The fans for him. He came apparently and he only mentioned this when he got there to find out why people don't like him, because he didn't feel he was doing anything wrong. I mean, read the room. Come on, like, you know, you've got all these people out there that are feeding you this information. Surely they could just feed you the information as to why we don't like what's happening at the football club. You didn't have to hold a fans forum, an emergency fans forum, and then come out. And there was actually some people there that were actually asking genuine questions. Wasn't even being confrontational. One person even praised one aspect. And he got a torrent of abuse from him. He came in for a fight. He just sees us as the enemy. He's not willing to work with us. Constantly beats us with a stick, and we just pander to him all the time. And it's got to stop. I know there's been protests and things have ramped up recently, but he just needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to try and show my age, but I used to work at Wednesday, and it was just before his time. And if we're ever talking infrastructure and stuff like that, bless it, it needed work back then. This is some 15 odd years back, so that's just one of many little things that as we all know, he's not done right at all.
Tom, if you walk back in there now, nothing will have changed.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's a bag of shit, and like you've said, I mean, it's a famous quote that we've all come to mention now, is that he said, "I don't know what I'm doing wrong." Well, part of me is does he really not know what he's doing wrong? I mean, I think there's a few of us at the time were like, "Oh no, I don't. I'm worried because I don't think he knows what he's doing wrong." But now, as someone's mentioned it before, he's shithousing. Frankly,
yeah, but
he knows what he's doing.
But all these, he talks about FFP, and people a lot spout that all the time, can't spend this, that, and the other. There's a lot of things that if he had the money and if he had the funds, he could spend money on. But he doesn't. He chooses not to. He chooses to have a porter cabin as security at the training ground, which is utterly embarrassing for a football club that was once trying to get into the Premier League. It's really, really poor. I know he's now spending money on the training ground, and you could argue that some of that stuff, was. We had a pitch for 10 years, and he's putting another pitch in for another 10 years. That's just the shelf life of said pitch. But there's so many things that he's chosen not to do that has got us in this situation. And there's also, we're just constantly paying for his mistakes, just all the time. The reason why we have to have the season tickets on sale in December isn't because of loyalty or giving people time to buy a season ticket or whatever bullshit they're going to come out with. It is because they need the money there, and they rely on that money coming in, and it just has to stop. I want to be run like a normal football club. I don't want to be talking about wages anymore. I want to be talking about 4-4-2 and pressing fullbacks and fucking whatever else. I can't be arsed talking about wages and people not getting paid, because it's utter bollocks. And sorry for getting a bit angry there.
No, man, I'm just as angry. But I think the worst thing, I don't know if other Wednesday fans can relate to this, but I've got to a point where I see something that's popped up today, for example, and I just kind of laugh to myself, and I shouldn't. Like people have said, this ain't the first time. I feel like Chansiri, it's that age-old thing of no news is bad news almost. He wants to be in the press as much as possible. He thinks, how can I do that? I know, I'll not pay the wages. When actually, as we've said, the better run football clubs, you don't hear about them, do you? You don't hear about, like we've said, Stoke's chairman or Sunderland's or whatever. It's always him. And for him to not realise or seemingly realise that he is the problem is baffling.
Yeah, Matt, do you think he, surely he must know what the problem is now? Does he just do things just to intentionally wind us up, or, I'm just lost for words, really, to be fair.
I think it's really difficult because I still think through all of this, there is still some level of care there, and there's some level of emotional attachment to the football club. But I don't think it's a care about anybody who's there. I don't think it's a care about the stadium. I don't think it's care about anything to do with the badge, the history, anything like that. I think the care that is there is how bad it looks on him to walk away from the mess that he's left. That's where I think where he talks about, I've got an emotional attachment to this club. I care about it. No, you don't. You care about your reputation and the state of what it's been left in. And it's easier to pretend, I suppose, or not confront it. It's easier to stay thousands of miles away and not come back and not confront those fans and not confront the poor decisions that you've made, not look those staff that you aren't paying dead in the eye and say, good morning, hello, I'm sorry. It's much easier to do all of that from sat thousands of miles away. But I think it was, as James Revels just said in the chat here, in terms of we have no regular revenue streams coming in. The only regular revenue stream that we have coming through the door is us as supporters. That is the only regular revenue stream, and that is starting to dwindle. That will dwindle this year, and if this is still going on or rumbling on in 12 months' time, it will dwindle even further, and the purse strings will be tightened and tightened and tightened. And again, I mean, we've been talking about this for months, James. If we think it's bad now, it's only going to get worse. I dread to think what happens. I'm not encouraging anybody to do this in any way, shape, or form. I genuinely would fear for the person's actual well-being coming to Hillsborough. For a game. I don't think there's any way that the current owner can step foot in Sheffield 6.
He's not welcome, Matt. He just isn't welcome at all. This is the sad thing as well, Craig. Here, the worst thing is I just don't care anymore. Tom, what's your situation at the moment? Season ticket holder? I'm guessing maybe.
Former. I used to go a lot. Unfortunately, I don't anymore. So I do watches every week though. Just to clarify.
It's fine. But there's a lot of people in your situation as well. And I mean, what would it? I'm guessing there's other circumstances. What would it take for you to come back? I'm guessing at the moment you're not going to come back under this current regime.
Well, I get a lot of I used to obviously under Chansiri, I used to go to quite a lot of games, and obviously as the price, as we all know, started going up and up, it was just sort of untenable for me at the time. But like I say, I always watched him. I think I've said to my wife though, look, as soon as he goes, I get some form of hope in my mind that someone knows how to run us properly. Yeah. Just that little iota of potential happiness and hope, I'd be there in a heartbeat. And I'd imagine plenty of others like me would do exactly the same.
Yeah, it's going to be really telling, Tom, when that first game of the season at home, and how many people are there. I mean, I suppose the first game of the season is not really a true reflection, but when you get 2 or 3 games in to see how many fans are actually there and how many fans are turning up, it's not going to be as many as it was previously. And then the other thing as well is the longer this rumbles on, and season, if we get to Christmas and season tickets are on sale again, I mean, I hope he's gone by that point, but if we do, the next season will be really, really telling as to how many people have bought the season tickets. But this is where he kind of wins all the time, because season tickets are on sale at a cheaper price, and because you don't know where you're going to be and you don't know what's going to happen, you panic and you end up buying a season ticket, and then when it gets to the end of the season and it's absolutely dog shit, you think, fuck, I've got a season ticket next season as well. I wouldn't have had, how many people would have bought one now? I think I don't think there'd be, there would certainly be a hell of a lot more people that hadn't bought one than, if they'd have gone on sale today. But, anyway. Yeah. Tom, massive thanks for coming on, pal. Great.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Again, great to hear different voices on this show. It is an emergency special episode that we've done, but we do normally do a debate show in this format on a Wednesday at 8:00. So if you've just found us today, I've seen there's a lot of people that are watching that might have done that. Then Wednesdays at 8:00 we do the same thing again. I've got Freddie, I've got Doc the Owl, and I've got Paul that want to speak as well. I know we're coming up to an hour and a half, but are you all right for a little bit longer, Matt?
Yeah, fine, mate. I got nothing to do.
Why not? Let's come to Freddie then next. Freddie, how's things, mate? You all good?
All good, boys. How about yourselves?
I'll say yeah.
Yes.
It's easier, mate.
Yeah, not much you can say, is there, really?
What's your take on everything, Freddie?
Well, I come from a different point of view. So I'm 16, and me and my dad go home and away every week. Try and go as much as we can, but it's just got to the point where it's draining. Don't want to go. Normally you look forward to going on a Saturday, don't you? Seeing everyone that you know, but now you just think, what is the point in going?
Yeah, it has got to like that. You're not the only person that's that's probably thinking like that at all. But you know, it's one thing after another, isn't it, Freddie? It's just one thing. If it's not wages, it's the fact that manager doesn't want to be here, and there's a common denominator in it all, isn't there? And it's just that man at the top, and he's just making mistake after mistake after mistake, and we're still here. Like we're still here. We're still supporting the club, and I think it's. When you look at football, it is a strange one. Again, I've used this analogy many a time. If I buy Nike trainers and all of a sudden the sole falls off, I'm going to buy a pair of Adidas trainers tomorrow. The next time. Can't do that with football. I can't go to Bramall Lane and suddenly sit in the home end and suddenly identify as a Sheffield United fan. It's not happening. You're Sheffield Wednesday through and through, and you're stuck with the club that you've supported. From that day, that either from the day you were born or the day that you decided to be a Sheffield Wednesday fan. And all you can do is just, like you said, not go. But you're missing out then, aren't you?
Well, that's it, mate. Like, football's run by us, really, isn't it? Run by the fans, and we're all starting to lose interest. So then you go to next season and it'll just be shit. It'll be a shit show, and it's down to him, but he's too stubborn to sell. So I just can't see us going in any sort of forward direction, really.
Do you get what's his motive? What's the reason for him owning Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, Freddie? 'Cause I don't think anyone's really got the answer. But what do you think?
Well, like you say, it's reputation, innit? I think he's very stubborn and won't sell just for his own reputation. He don't care about us as fans, don't care about the club. I think it's just reputation and how he looks, really.
I mean, just kind of looking ahead. Then you said you're not even that arsed about going next season and everything. What do you want to change? I know the obvious one is the owner, but what sort of thing? What would get you back into kind of loving the game again?
Well, like you say, the owner, like, we have an unreal manager with Danny Rowell, and with any other ownership, he could have took us forward. Like, investment in windows, he'd have been the ideal manager, because he's a man that wants a project, innit? Just it excites you. When he first got there, it excited all of us, but then he's ruined it. So a new owner, and I don't think Danny Rowell's gonna stay, is it? And I don't think a lot of fans would want him to, the way he's gone about leaving. But just a new owner, a new exciting plan, something that you can kind of look forward to watching every week.
Yeah, I agree. It's just go on, Matt. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, Freddie, it's really interesting because on that talk of the manager, there's been a lot of stuff obviously over the past couple of weeks with the manager. We've obviously covered it quite extensively on here. You do get the impression, and I agree with you, you get the impression that if the ownership model was to change in, say, the next month, and say, for argument's sake, nobody came in for the manager would actually be really happy here because he'd get everything that he wants. He'd get that stable base. And yeah, ultimately, he's not going to stay here forever, and he is going to move on to something, pastures new and all the rest of it. But it doesn't end on this sour note. It's the fact that everything from top down is forcing all of this fractured and broken relationships with, first off, a manager that we've fallen in love with over 2 years. It's then going to be players next, which will be the one that's really telling, because again, if I was in Barry Bannon's position here, I know Barry Bannon absolutely loves this football club, and I don't think there would be any doubt to that. I'd be looking at it and thinking, do I need this for another year, 2 years? Like, can I go and get a secured contract somewhere else? Like, I hate to throw this around because they're all very Hollywood at the minute. He's just had one of his best mates in football, in Stephen Fletcher, go and play at Wrexham for 2 years. And he said, I've fallen back in love with football because they take all of the stress off it and you're just allowed to go and play. Nobody would begrudge Bannon going and doing that. And if players then start turning around and saying, no, I don't want to sign up for this, and they are genuine, certified, bona fide, modern-day Sheffield Wednesday legends, where'd you go from there?
What's next season going to be like, Freddie, like, in your opinion?
It's just one of them things that you don't know, do you? Because it depends on ownership, it depends on manager, it depends on players. I think the next few weeks, next month, is just going to be very telling. Because if we don't get a takeover, players won't be interested, players won't want to stay, Roll won't want to stay, no manager's going to want to come to a club, have no backing. It's ridiculous. Like, no one's going to want to come to Sheffield Wednesday, which is really sad to say because we are a massive club, and like everyone says, we're a sleeping giant that have the ability to go forward, have a good season, but it's just him at the top that there's no way we go forward, and only thing I can see us doing is going down, really.
Yeah, Freddie, massive thanks for going on, pal.
Cheers, mate.
Do appreciate it. It's again.
Have a good night.
Yeah, I try my best, mate. I try my best. I've got Doc the Owl that wants to speak. Doc, I'll come to you in a second, and then I'll come to. I've got Peter that wants to speak. I've got loads of people. I might not be able to get through everyone. I do
just pull up
apologise.
some comments just here, James,
Yes,
very quickly. So one from Mike Taylor here. I spent the best part of £900 for me and my lad on the North Stand again, which I would not have bothered if I'd known it would still be this bad of a shambles. DC is done with me. Anything good he has done is ruined. Anyone in the right mind would sell right now. He can't run the club, can't afford to run the club. Sell. I think... Again, it's just sorry. I'm just going to highlight this one from Natalie as well here. Me and you don't need to be making any holiday plans, James, because there'll be emergency pods every fucking week at this rate.
Yeah, I've already got holiday booked actually, so I might have to take my laptop with me, much to the annoyance of the wife.
James, you're calling in from a beach this afternoon. How are you? It's just sat with flipping pina coladas.
Yeah, well, that's what it's going to be like, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah.
There's another one from Natalie says, I used to work for HMRC. I can remember Sheffield United getting turned over for investigation. It led to a nationwide investigation of all football clubs. This is what will happen here. I mean, ultimately, we've no idea what is going to happen. Obviously, we're playing a waiting game. Once again, like it was a couple of months ago, we're going to be checking on Monday. Have they been paid? Have they been paid or not? Literally, we should be saying who we've been linked with, what players going to be coming, any bids for NAR players, all this sort of stuff. Instead, we're talking about whether wages have been paid or not, which is absolutely, again, ridiculous. Michael said, there's no relegation odds being put out, but if there are any 3-1 available, then I'm lumping on.
I'd imagine that'll be the other way around, Michael. I think it'll be odds on.
It could be. You never know. Let's come to Doc the Owl then, see what he has to say. Doc, are you there, mate?
Yeah, lads, I'm here. Long time suffering Sheffield Wednesday fan from Ireland.
Yes, suffering. I think we've all done enough suffering over the last couple of years at least. Anyway, but to be fair, over just being a Sheffield Wednesday fan, we're suffering enough. I don't know what we've had to do in a previous life to warrant this. But yeah, Doc, what do you want to say, mate?
No, yeah, I mean, like it's gone mad. It's actually gone crazy how far we've fallen. Like you look at what our owner has done, right, for us. The first few seasons, he's pumped the money in and tried to get us up. All but, signing players in their late 20s, early 30s. It didn't work out. And there's been no model since. It's like, what's he trying to do now, Is he trying to take us to the promised land, or is he just trying to take us below? We have no game plan. We have no strategy. We have a brilliant manager in Danny Roll. I understand where he's coming from in he doesn't want to be part of this club under that ownership, because I think anybody in any kind of work, any work situation, if your manager was our owner was like Dejphon Chansiri, you'd want to walk, wouldn't you?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, just in the last 3 months, late payment of wages 1 month. They're late at the moment again. Already as a manager, you're going to look and thinking, I've asked him for a transfer budget. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not coming. I'm sorry to break it to you, Danny. You've got fuck all to spend in this summer. Literally nothing to spend, unless Dejphon Chansiri's got some magic trick. I think I said last time, when he said that money was owed, I was hoping that it was going to be to the tune of about 150 million that it was owed, but it probably wouldn't be, and clearly it wasn't that much money that it was owed. Hence why we're in this situation again. But it's just that you're right when you said it there, Doc. No forward planning. There is no plan. He told us that he would. He said at the fans forum he was unwilling to share us the plan because he didn't know what league we were going to be in. Hence why he wouldn't. Why he couldn't tell us. Utter bullshit. There isn't a plan. It's not that he can't tell us. He hasn't got one. Because how can you plan anything when you don't know where your next pound note's going to come from?
Exactly. And like he turned around and he said he based us off a model from Reading FC. And I mean, that's already admitting defeat. Like, imagine sitting there being a manager, hearing your chairman basing your plan off a team a league below you and saying how they struggle and know how they're on the get up again. They're going to get up now because they have a new owner and they may rise from the doldrums. Is that what he wants for us? You know, it's sickening.
Yeah, it is exactly that. It's not only sickening, it's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing, isn't it, Matt? Like, having to constantly come on here and talk about these issues. You know, I don't. When does it end, Matt? Like, is someone going to take us over, or what?
It is absolutely embarrassing. Doc, I would just like to say you're talking far too much sense. You're going to be angering some people here. But it is, I agree. I think it's embarrassing to actually talk about it to people who aren't Wednesday fans or who don't know it, because it's such a deep explanation for it, and it's just so much easier just to say, oh no, it's a shit show, like, rather than actually explaining all of the stuff behind it. But again, when you're talking about this idea of a takeover, and we've mentioned it a couple of times, James, there's been 2 tangible bids, obviously. Both have been rejected. We now are in a situation where you think, well, if I'm bidding for a third time, again, as I said it earlier, yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm knocking off 20 million from my bid, and I'll reimburse you somewhere further down the line if I feel like it. Otherwise, I'm waiting until somebody comes in like an administrator and takes it off, and that might be 12 months, that might be 18 months down the line. But again, when we're talking the facts and figures that we are, the only tangible bid from this Florida-based consortium that has been there twice and come back twice, if it is Adam Shaw who's connected to it, which for all intents and purposes it seems the case, he is a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Regardless of the finances, regardless of a consortium and who his backers are, this is a Sheffield Wednesday fan. That is the only reason why this person and this consortium is willing to pay over the odds for this football club and meet all of these stupid demands that the chairman puts on about no NDAs or financial agreements and all of the rest of it. If you weren't a Sheffield Wednesday fan, you were looking at this, I'm not doing all of that. There's just no way.
Yeah. Doc, a new owner doesn't have to do a great deal to be held in such high esteem by us Sheffield Wednesdayites. Can they really, like, do you know what I mean? They don't. It's so bad at the moment. He only has to pay players every month.
Exactly. And, you can't do any worse, really, to be honest. And I mean, looking at it, like, okay, on the bigger picture and a broader scheme of things, and up above us in the Premier League, like with the likes of Manchester United, you know, when Ineos came in, they made a lot of cuts, but they're making millions upon millions on a match day, so they have to obviously cut the losses. We just want to try make some money. We just want to try develop the club and move us forward. And, you know, we're not looking for someone to come in the club anymore, because Jesus Christ, we can't even pay our players. We can't even play the regular staff of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, and that's an embarrassment. That's an embarrassment to us.
Yeah, great. Doc, thanks for coming on, pal. I know cool. I can't give you much time, but I haven't got long left, and I've got other people that want to speak as well. But Doc, thanks for coming on, pal. Really do appreciate it. As always, cheers. Always great to hear from, again, different, loads of different voices coming on today. Clearly, not paying wages has riled quite a few people up.
Angered people, James. It's strange, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, exactly. Mark has put a great point up here. I wonder if Chansiri has asked Shaw for some money again to cover the wages. It would be very interesting in telling if he has indeed done that or not. Freddie has said he's clearly skint and can't keep this up, so why isn't he selling? The offer was more than substantial, and still no one knows where the money comes from. Something isn't adding up to me. Yeah, the math ain't mathing, is it? As people, as the
mapping. No, it's not, mate. It's not. But again, that goes back to the point. I think I can't remember whether it was myself or somebody else raised earlier. Who does he owe the money to? Where does he owe the money from? Because if he's borrowed money from certain people, to them, this is just a cash cow. This is the only financial revenue stream that he has coming in, and you dare not sell it.
Yeah, let's come to Paul next, and then I think Peter will probably be the last one before we wrap things up. Paul, how are you going, mate? You all right?
What's going on? Yeah, you know what? Do you know what? I'm absolutely, like everybody else in the fan base, fucking sick of this guy. I'm absolutely. Do you know what? It reminds me of some sort of dictator that's got his own little fan base and his island that he can control. And it feels to me like there's something else I want to say, but it feels to me like it will be paid in time, just in time. It's almost like I feel that Chansiri has that little bit in him to go, do you know what? I'm going to let him sweat. I'll show him who boss is. And then he'll pay it just before the deadline. You know what? The damage that this guy's doing to this club, the EFL, although some people say they're powerless, it's about time they stood up and earned the money. You know, I'd like every fan that's bought one of those shirts that haven't been made, or if they have been made with the old Owls badge on, to go and ask for a refund. And then put that towards it. Why haven't they had those shirts, by the way? Where were those shirts? I don't really know the story. All I know is loads of my mates went and piled some money on a shirt that they've still not got. Is that moral? Is that right?
Well,
that's one thing.
Yeah, well, I suppose the shirts haven't come out yet, but he does scream like it was literally, you know, but an idea that was drawn up at, I don't know, 10 in the morning, and it came out at 12 by saying, oh, we ain't got any money. I know, let's just sell something we haven't got.
Well, it's honestly, everybody was asking for the old Owls badge. Guess what? We sell loads of the black kit. I know what we'll do. We'll bring the old emblem back for the shirt. Yeah. It's just gone far too far. It's just, you know, I mean, I'm looking at people saying we shouldn't protest at Owls in the Park because of the kids. I completely see both sides. But what I would say is those poor kids aren't going to have a club. And I don't know whose players are going to get signatures off because we've not got any.
Yeah, you bang. I was trying to find a comment. There was a comment earlier that said exactly that. Like, you know, it gets people saying, you know, should be no protest, but you know, for 1 year, just don't bring them this year, and you know, bring them next year when things might be a lot better. Again,
I think he's fragile, James. I think he's fragile. I think people give him a bit of credit. I think he obviously shows a lot of emotion very, very quick. And the way to get to the chairman is probably very, very easy, not to give him the money and to do the protest, because he does get, you know, at the end of the day, what I'd like to know is Thailand's they're very proud people. What on earth are his family thinking at the minute? I mean, this is like, it's coming back on their name, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think, well, again, I've said it multiple times already. I don't know what his motive is. I don't know why he's carrying on. Like he's had multiple opportunities, you know, over the years to just say enough's enough, and I'm going to walk and we're going to put the club up for sale. There will be people out there that will buy the football club. Like there is, you see it constantly.
I think what's important, James, is, and you know this no NDA stuff. Well, I tell you what, the first person that puts a bid in for Sheffield Wednesday publicly, because if I was a multimillionaire buying Sheffield Wednesday, I'd have no qualm saying, yeah, I've bid 70 million. Bring it out to the press and let the fans hear the actual bids. And then what will happen is the heat will significantly turn upon Chansiri, because then we don't know.
Paul, the only problem with that is that to someone who's nothing to do with Sheffield Wednesday, that only benefits us as fans. That doesn't benefit.
It benefits them, though, if the fans turn on the chairman for not selling.
Well, it does, but then they might not benefit from that and actually buy the club. Like someone else might come in and take it off their hands. I totally get what you're saying, and maybe it is something for Adam Shaw as a Sheffield Wednesday fan. He'll benefit from it because he's, you know, all right, he might not own it, but
I don't. Somebody said to me tonight, a good friend of mine said to me, if a new owner comes in, then the transfer embargo's gone. I don't know how true that is, but if that is the truth, then how much is he playing to wreck the club or get his last bit before somebody does come in? Because it's clearly going that way in regards to, like you said earlier, there's 20 million quid off this club straight away. He's only punishing himself. If Mr. Chansiri is not careful, this is just my opinion, the administrators will take the club anyway, or the EFL will say not right and proper or whatever, and take the club, which then means he's got nothing. It's like, it feels to me like somebody in a casino that's dumped it all on red and black's coming, so they've gone for the last 20 quid, and then they literally will not leave that table until they get something back. That's how it feels, and I don't think he's going to win.
What's your overriding emotion at the moment, Paul, when you think
absolutely fuming? I'm raging, mate. I'm raging because, like everybody else, everybody on this fan base, you know, I see my mates work hard every week, pay stupid prices, Premier League prices for players that some of them aren't the quality that they should be watching, for promises we get from the chairman of, well, I'm going to bring the best players to the club, from, you know, all these things that he's going to do, and he can't run. It's like a fucking sweet shop that's got one till. You know, it's just an absolute mess. I'm just raging. I'm like everybody else, and it gets me really angry because there's no sense to it. Sell the club. Come out and say the club has got, you know, is he so proud that he's not going to sell the club? It's more embarrassing if he doesn't. If he doesn't sell the club, how embarrassing is it going to be when it actually? It's going to be a lot more embarrassing for him rather than admit defeat.
Yeah, you're probably right there, Paul. Paul, just conscious of time, but thanks for coming on.
Top
as
man.
as always, great to hear your thoughts and your opinions and everything. Peter, I'll come to you, and that'll be probably the last one before we wrap things up, because it's getting late and it's Friday night. Daz has said, I can't believe people paid for a shirt that didn't exist. Maybe DC did this because he literally knows as fans we'll buy anything, so he took advantage of our love for our club. You're shaking your head there, Matt.
Yeah, £70 I'll never see again, innit, James?
Maybe.
But the other one, just before we move on to Peter, obviously for closing, is this one from Freddie. This was the point that I was just going to make while Paul was speaking. The embargo stays no matter the takeover, but it doesn't effectively, because that new owner comes in. They have the actual ability to rectify it, and then an embargo can be lifted, or there can be like a slight workaround in terms of like the sanctions that are imposed on the club. So, say for argument's sake, if we were placed into a 3-window embargo, and then 6 months down the line a new owner came in, once the EFL have been satisfied that the issues that were there are rectified, that embargo can then be lifted because of a new ownership. The embargo would only stay whilst the owner is still at the football club, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Peter, I'll come to you in a second. Just one from Steve. Great calls all night. Yeah, some very passionate fans coming up this evening, and loads of people in the comments as well. Peter, how's it going, mate? You all right?
I'm all right, James. I think there's one good point out of all this. When I first started going to football back in the early 70s, there used to be these strange guys walking around carrying placards, and invariably they'd see one that said, "The end is nigh."
Right.
If there's any consolation out of all this that's happened, particularly today and the last couple of days, take those words to bed tonight. The end is nigh, because the door's about to shut on him. And there's one thing that's coming. Another thing that's coming out of today is that Chansiri can never set foot in Hillsborough ever again, because he'll get lynched. Somebody will go for him. But I think I said 2 days ago on the show on Wednesday night about Adam Shaw being not a particularly good candidate. Well, all of a sudden he's gone from 20-1 against to 20-1 on, because he looks like the Pope compared with Chansiri. I mean,
if you think about it as well, Peter, whoever comes in, they could just do it. They could quickly.
There'd be an instant hero, James.
Yeah, that's it. But they could quickly turn the club around. They don't have to stay for 10 years. Like, they could quickly turn it around, and the feel-good factor around the football club once again. And they could make some some astute improvements to the infrastructure of the football club. And then all of a sudden it would be an asset again, and they could just move on, and they could probably make a quick couple of quid.
You mentioned it 5 minutes ago about the Wrexham sort of thing. If I was the Wrexham chairman, if I was Stephen Fletcher, I'd be telling him, get to Hillsborough and get Barry Bannon. He's only got 2 years left, but the effect that Barry Bannon could have on any side in the Championship would be frightening. And equally so, it would be equally as devastating on us, because if we lose Bannon, if Bannon decides to walk away, like you just said, I've only got a couple of years left, why should I put up with this crap? That will finish the club, and nobody could blame him, because he's given us 9 fantastic years. But that's the sort of impact of all this, or the after effect of all this happening, of what Chansiri is up to now. And yet again, it's another, as I said the night to you and Matt, it's another horrific business decision. And to come out and say that he's waiting on funds coming in again, that same old excuse.
Well, he hasn't said that, I don't think.
I think I've read it today in one of Joe's or Rob Staten's posts. I'm sure I've read that comment somewhere.
Yes, I know that's what he said a couple of months ago. Unless we've done we might be seeing a copy and paste article on the website just from a couple of months ago. At least the admin.
Does this all not say to you, like you said about the Wrexham fact, and it could be any club in the Championship? Our better players are now going to be seen. They're going to get cherry picked. Your Dejphon Bernard, your Jan Valerys, the Cadamartri lads, even the Barons at the older end. We're going to get.
Well, you said that, Peter, but he's showing no sign of negotiating with anyone for anything. You know, someone mentioned earlier, you could have negotiated a deal for Danny Rail and at least paid the wages this month. You know, he doesn't want to be here anyway. So what? You know, you're holding out for something that, you know, in my opinion, I don't think we're ever going to get. I don't think, you know, we've already heard Werder Bremen don't want to pay the compensation.
No.
They've already appointed someone else. You know, Leicester looking at Russell Martin, who checks my notes. Yeah, not in work. There's no compensation that needs to be paid for him.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
Southampton, Will still left his club, mutually terminated his contract, and he's gone to Southampton. Oh, don't have to pay any compensation. Like he did it with Forestieri. He said that he had bids for him, wanted too much money. Left on a free. He does it all the time. It's no surprise that we're in this situation.
I used this analogy a couple of weeks ago about us, Sheffield Wednesday, being the Titanic that was about to hit the iceberg. Well, I think we've sort of, we're about 100 yards from that iceberg now, and we're about to hit it. And I think in the next couple of days, I think the lot is about to go under.
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets any better.
Yeah, of course
Peter,
it is.
Isn't it?
I didn't see. Well, I say I didn't see. In my worst nightmares, I thought this might happen this weekend, but I honestly didn't think he would push it this far. Like you and Matt's just said, these 1,000 or so mystery shirts, the Emperor's clothes, if you want to call them that, are never going to be. They're never going to see the light of day. And you know, the lack of a statement from the club says it all. It's just a total and utter. As everybody said, like Paul, you said, it's shambolic. It's an embarrassment. Well, you know.
Yeah. Well, just on that, Peter, he said like a statement from the club. I just want to point out, as Joe pointed out on the Star, the wages. You know, it's still payday today, so technically they're not late as per se. I mean, look, if I'd not been paid by 10 o'clock at night on the day that I should have been paid, they're late, but and apparently even if they get paid tomorrow, they're still being paid in that month. So that's why we've not heard anything from the club, but they do have to tell the EFL within, I think is it 2 or 3 working days. So we will find, if they haven't been paid, we will find out. You can't just brush this under the carpet and nobody knows about it. We will find out about it. But that just to clear up, that's why we've not heard anything on the official club's website at the moment.
Right, so that you just mentioned with Matt about the shirts. Has anything come out about
that? Other than
wouldn't have, would it?
No, I mean, obviously, I'm sure when the shirts get announced for next season, the home and away shirt, and we'll probably see then whether we see a third one or not. Because if it's not announced, there'll certainly be questions that need to be need to be answered.
Yeah.
Peter, before we kind of wrap things up, what's your overriding emotion at the moment? I know you die hard.
Like the young lads just said, who was 16, and he's got who's just been on. He goes with his dad home and away.
Yeah.
My lad's not got to his sort of maturity yet, where he's still a bit daft, loves the singing, the chanting, the abusing of the opposition fans. So when he gets to, I'm getting sick of it now. I've had a belly full of this, and I just do it because I ain't got no better to do on a Saturday afternoon. And it's, I said the other night, I was buzzing for the thing, but this just completely deflates you. My overriding feeling is one like I've just been kicked in nuts over and over again, and it's really is time for him to go. And he did say, he said it I was there when he said it. When the fans want me to go, I'll go. Well, if he doesn't get the message, and this Owls in the Park thing about being a family thing, it's going to be like going to a family wedding, and all your exes are in the row behind you. You know what I mean? It's just not. Why on earth would you want to? The security guys are going to be like on treading on eggshells. It's a ticking time bomb, isn't it? It really is.
Well, it's going to be like, and to kind of drop a Phoenix Knights reference
in
there. Is it the
start? Of course it is.
The start of the is it the second season, Matt, where they have the family fun day? And
it's a family fun day, man. Yeah.
It's going to be like that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
My overriding feeling, James, is that what can happen? What can be worse than this?
Well, I do think it can get worse. The season hasn't started yet, has it? Let's see what happens in this transfer window as well, because it's not going to be pretty, I don't think.
We've got a manager who's somewhere in Europe trying to get any job he can, and he's gone from being the best thing in Sheffield 6 ever to public enemy number one in Sheffield 6, and now all of a sudden, after what's happened today, is beginning to climb the popularity ratings again. So maybe it weren't Danny Role after all. Maybe it weren't. Chansiri's sinking back to rock bottom, and Danny Role's getting back towards the top again. No wonder people like Pedersen and Chrissy Powell, who've been down the block loads of times, they don't want to be stopping. They want to be away.
Well, as of Monday, they're not employed by Sheffield Wednesday unless something happens and something's happened behind the scenes. Their contracts end at the end of this month, as far as we're aware. So yeah, Peter, massive thanks for coming on, pal. Yeah. Do appreciate it. I've seen it again.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. I've seen it again. Loads of people, fans of other clubs. I've seen some Leeds fans in the chat as well. Again, I'll say the point again. I find it really embarrassing that other fans of other football clubs are feeling sorry for us. It's great that you are, but I'd rather if you weren't. I'd rather us not be in this situation. Matt, before we just kind of wrap things up and finish, any final kind of closing thoughts that you want to share?
First off, I really hope those people who've been affected by the late payment or partial payment of salaries are able to have some respite over the weekend in terms of being able to switch off from it, even though I can't even begin to imagine how difficult that must be. I hope the club comes out and actually makes a statement and talks about this. I know we don't ask for like we seem to have statements coming out of our ears. The silence on this is absolutely deafening today. Absolutely deafening, and just another damning indictment of how poor this football club is being run, top to bottom. And lastly, I think in terms of if there was something that I was hoping for next week, I genuinely mean this. If there are people who are out there who are still interested in buying Sheffield Wednesday, you have got currently a fan base that could not be more on your side when you walk through the door first coming into this football club. If you were looking at, I'm not sure how they're going to take me or anything like that, I don't want to say anybody, obviously, but there is a very strong chance, and you said it, James, that anybody who does come through the door next has got about 2 years worth of clear runways to be able to make a really sizable and impactful difference. And if by some miracle this manages to get back to our esteemed leader, the chairman, message remains simple. Enough is enough. Sheffield Wednesday fans do not want you at this football club anymore. This tenure has run its course. Sell the club for the good of yourself and everybody associated to it. Yeah, great words there, Matt. Right, we're gonna wrap things up there. Thanks everyone for joining on this Friday evening. Again, didn't kind of plan to be doing this, but yeah, I feel like it's necessary to talk about what's been happening. Obviously, we'll be back again on Sunday. As to what we're going to be talking about,
Alfie,
no idea. Alfie, it's bedtime, mate. Yeah.
Sorry, I left my mic on, James.
Thanks for bringing a smile, Peter. That's really lighting the mood. Actually,
we've had Alfie that needs to go to bed, and we've had James who needed a shit earlier. Which it's live; these things happen. You know what I mean? But no, again, we're all going to be back on Sunday. What we're going to be talking about, I have no idea. I haven't got a clue, but it'll be something, I'm sure. So make sure you join us then. If you want to join Patreon, you can do so. Patreon.com/WTID pod. Thanks for all the people that have joined up in the last couple of days. Also, I know you had a chat with Matt Exton, didn't you? That did All Wednesday, which went quite well yesterday, didn't it, Matt? That was a decent chat.
Matt was great. It's a totally different change of gear here. I spoke to obviously Matt Exton, as you said, creator of All Wednesday. He was fantastic yesterday. It was a really, really enjoyable hour to listen to somebody discuss as he, in his words, a love letter to Sheffield Wednesday and the fans in particular of Sheffield Wednesday. And in the mire of all of this that's gone off today, it seems really even more fitting to have done that kind of chat yesterday to remember what's actually important.
Yeah, great interview as always. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to wrap things up. We'll see you on Sunday. Hopefully, the landscape's changed somewhat, and we might have had news that players and staff have been paid. Fingers crossed, anyway. But thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers.